China is collapsing. Well, is this true? Is it true that China's economy is collapsing? Here's the answer: no, China's economy is far from collapsing. If you listen to the news, especially the Western media, you will keep hearing things like China is collapsing, or that China's economy is in big trouble. But these are not true, they are false news created to spread fears about China's economy. The idea that China's economy is on the verge of collapse has been repeated for many years. There are even books dedicated to this topic, such as The Coming Collapse of China, authored by Gordon Chang and published in 2001. Gordon Chang is famous for his negative views on China. If you search for China economy collapse on Google, you'll find news coverage every year claiming that China is on the brink of economic disaster. However, this isn't the case. China's economy is still growing, albeit at a slower rate, and it's outpacing the growth of the US and Europe. In this video, we'll provide you with facts and data to explain why China's economy is not going to collapse. In fact, it's on track to surpass the US and become the world's largest economy in the next decade. If you're interested in this topic, please subscribe to our channel for more updates and informative videos like this one. Now, let's delve into the details of China's economy. China's economy slowdown. The Chinese government recently shared some economic information for the first 5 months of 2023. It tells us that China's economy is still getting better after the COVID-19 pandemic, even though it didn't bounce back as much as people expected in April and May. Whenever China's economic numbers aren't as good as people hoped, worries about China's future come up. This shows how important the world's second biggest economy is, because even small changes in China can affect the whole world's economy. But we need to realize that some so-called experts use moments like this to make a big deal about China's supposedly slow economy and tell everyone that China is about to collapse. After 3 years of slow growth, China's economy has started to speed up again in 2023. People are spending more, businesses are investing more, and jobs and prices are staying fairly steady. In the first 5 months of this year, China's imports and exports with other countries went up by 4.7% compared to last year. China's trade with countries connected to the Belt and Road Initiative also grew by 13.2%. Private companies in China were responsible for 52.8% of the country's total trade, which is almost 4 percentage points more than last year. In June, the World Bank increased its prediction for how much China's economy will grow this year to 5.6%, which is 1.3 percentage points higher than what they thought in January. The International Monetary Fund also thinks China will hit its growth target of 5.2% this year and will contribute a big part of the world's economic growth. Even Tesla's CEO, Elon Musk, had good things to say about China's economy. He tweeted, "The economic success that China has achieved is really impressive, especially when it comes to building things. I encourage people to visit and see for themselves." For those who criticize China just for the sake of it, they can't deny the strength, potential, and bright future of China's economy. China versus United States economy. Did you know that China's economy has surpassed that of the United States? China's remarkable economic growth over the past 4 decades, which has been 4 times faster than that of the US, has significantly altered the global power dynamics. When comparing the GDP of different countries, experts recommend using a metric known as purchasing power parity, or PPP. According to the International Monetary Fund, the Central Intelligence Agency, and various other sources, PPP-based metrics show that China's economy is already 23% larger than that of the United States, as per the IMF, 18.8% larger according to the World Bank, and 16% larger by the CIA's calculations. If we extrapolate based on the average relative growth of the past decade, it's plausible that by 2032, in just 10 years, China's GDP could be approximately twice the size of the US. However, it's important to recognize that GDP size doesn't entirely correlate with economic and political power. Nevertheless, With a population of 1.4 billion and an economy twice the size of its closest rival, China has positioned the US in a very different scenario from what it has experienced for well over a century. The overarching question is whether China's growth will decelerate in the near future, becoming more akin to the US, or if it will continue to outpace the US, evolving into a substantially larger economic entity. The truth is that China has become really important globally. It's the main reason behind the world's economic growth. In the past 10 years, China has made a whopping 31.7% of all the world's economic growth, while the United States only contributed 9.7%. Another way we can tell China is getting more powerful is by looking at how it trades with other countries. When China joined the World Trade Organization in December 2001, the United States was the most important trading partner for most countries. But just 20 years later, China has become the biggest trading partner for most of the important countries in the world. Here's another powerful indicator: China has become a hub for some of the world's most valuable and influential companies. In 2021, Fortune magazine conducted a ranking known as the Global 500, which lists the top 500 companies from all over the world based on their size, revenue, and influence. What's striking is that this list began to show a clear shift towards China. There were more Chinese companies on it than American ones in the list of Fortune Global 500. This means that China now hosts a significant number of the world's largest and most powerful corporations. This trend underscores China's growing economic influence and its emergence as a formidable player in the world of business and commerce. It reflects not only the sheer size of China's economy but also its capacity to nurture and support major corporations that play pivotal roles in shaping the global economic landscape. Can China become the world's largest economy? For decades, experts have been making predictions about China's economic slowdown, but the reality has continually surprised them. China's journey from an emerging economy to a global powerhouse has been marked by consistent and robust growth, leaving Western developed markets trailing in its wake. China's GDP growth rate, while slowing over the few years, remains impressive. However, the same cannot be said for most developed Western nations, where growth rates have dwindled to a point where annual increments are expected to hover around a modest 1.5% to 2%. This slowdown can be attributed to a myriad of factors, including efforts to curb inflation, the ongoing conflict in Europe, and the adjustments required in the post-pandemic world. In stark contrast, economists are forecasting a different trajectory for China. They anticipate that China's growth will ease to a still healthy range of 3.5% to 5.0% annually between 2022 and 2030. What's remarkable is that very few experts expect China's growth to fall below double that of the United States in the coming years. This persistence of a significant GDP growth differential paints a compelling picture of China's future economic dominance. If this trend persists, China's economy is poised to outstrip that of the United States by a considerable margin by the end of the decade. China's economic resilience and unique growth drivers are setting it apart from its Western counterparts, challenging conventional wisdom about the pace of its economic expansion. And these are the facts and figures why China's economy isn't going to collapse anytime soon. If these reasons are not enough, listen to what Cramer has to say. CNBC's Jim Cramer on Thursday told investors he doesn't think China's market will collapse despite the country's recent weaker-than-expected economic figures and trouble with its real estate sector. These were what he said: "Now we're hearing that China's going to drag down the rest of the world, including us, but we've seen this movie before, and we know how it ends." Cramer believes that these challenges will not ultimately lead to the collapse of the Chinese economy, as he anticipates that the country's leadership will take measures to address these issues. He stated, however, "One thing is certain: China is not on the brink of a collapse." Despite the significant size of these institutions, they are not powerful enough to bring down the entire Chinese economy. What are your thoughts on the possibility of China experiencing a collapse or being in an economic crisis? Please share your opinions and leave your comments down below. If you enjoyed this content, show your support by clicking the like button. Most importantly, remember to subscribe to this channel to stay updated with fascinating videos on events in Asia.